You blamed yourself for the loss of your son, River.
I still feel guilty. I said, Jesus, help me.
This is a powerful story, everyone. Granger Smith's life was radically transformed by Jesus after a tragic accident that happened about 4 years ago where his son River drowned in their backyard in the pool. And he went through this dark period where he turned to marijuana, he turned to alcohol, even at one point putting a gun to his head before he called out to Jesus. Now, I have a clip where he was recently on Entertainment Tonight and he shares his story and how he called out to Jesus. And then I have another clip where he updates his fans, and he lets them know that he has completed his final tour and he's going in the ministry. And I want to share both of these clips with you and share a few comments along the way. Let's check it out.
In a matter of moments, things shifted.
Yeah.
You blamed yourself for the loss of your son, River. He died from a tragic accidental drowning in your home pool.
I was there. I still feel guilty.
It was 2019. Granger Smith's 3-year-old son, River, was having a water gun fight with his siblings, got past the safety gate, and seconds later accidentally drowned in the family pool.
I would wake up in the middle of the night many times, and I would wake up and I would go, I lost my son.
The country singer recounts the tragedy in his new book, Like a River, which is out now, and shares how he turned to substance abuse trying to cope with the loss, which played like a slideshow in his mind.
Just random images of River, of losing him, and whether he's face down in the pool, or I'm holding him, or we're going to the hospital, or the doctor's saying we're going to lose him.
In the book you write, you turn to self-help books. You turn to even weed.
Yeah.
You were vaping quite
Alcohol.
frequently,
Yeah,
alcohol.
whatever.
You would resort to weed to help you go to sleep at night.
I would do it before bed, so maybe not have nightmares.
Now this, I could certainly relate to this because I lost my dad about, how long ago? It's been maybe 12, 14 years ago now. And I remember thinking that I saw him everywhere. It was really crazy because he would wear this cowboy hat and sometimes I would see somebody with a cowboy hat and I would see him and I would wake up thinking, oh my God, he's gone. Like if you've ever lost somebody, you can relate to this. This is tough.
To just numb the pain.
It felt good. And so then I thought, well, I might as well just go ahead and have it in the morning too. Then it got, well, might as well just make sure around lunchtime. And then I thought, if I don't have it, I'm in trouble. And the slideshow's going to overtake me.
One night in particular, things got a little far. You got drunk and you had a 9mm in your hand and you held it up to your head. How close did you get that evening and what ultimately saved your life?
That night on Wildflower in that back bedroom, that was as rock bottom as it got. The weed wasn't working anymore and alcohol couldn't numb it. Maybe the only answer is to end it all because maybe that's where the peace is. Maybe you could finally rest in that.
So many people contemplate suicide and even some take their lives as a result of these dark seasons of their life. But let's listen to what happened here.
What do you think pulled you out of that moment?
I had one thought, and it was Lincoln and London, my 2 kids at home. That was the first thought that hit me, and I thought, I just saw their faces. And then I said, Jesus, help me, for the first time.
Come on.
The slideshow stopped, and I slid the gun out of my hand and hit the bed, and I fell down on the floor, and I was crying, and I was horrified at my shame, and my guilt, and the weakness I was, and the lack of strength that I had, the weak man that I was. It all hit me at once, and that was the beginning. This summer is my last ever tour.
The beginning of healing, but not forgetting. Granger announced he's leaving country music. His final concert is August 26th in his home state of Texas, and then the 43-year-old is pursuing ministry.
This season, my life will be actually being with my family and going to our little local church and learning under our pastor and going to seminary and getting out and speaking occasionally and talking about this book and telling people about my darkest night and how I was saved from that.
Wow, that's powerful. I have another clip I want to show you where he updates everyone. But if you heard a few of the things that he said in there, that when he finally surrendered his life to Jesus, he realized how weak he was, how frail, how fragile, and how much he needed a savior, right? He didn't say it exactly like that, but we all come to that point in our lives. If you've ever been radically changed by the power of Jesus, maybe you found God in a dark season of your life. It takes God revealing how small we really are, and how weak we really are, and how much we really need a savior. Let's check out this second clip where he talks about what he's doing now that he's completed his final tour.
I have a huge feeling of relief now that I know that I've been able to tell the world exactly what my intentions are and what I'm going to do, because for the last few years, a handful of people have known that I'm probably leaving music, but it's difficult to get on stage in different environments and different cities and play music for people, knowing, as I'm looking in their eyes, knowing I'm probably going to tell them in a few months I'm not doing this anymore. That's a difficult little way to live, and so there's a big sense of relief now. I wrestled with the idea for a long time that this doesn't feel right. I don't feel like I'm reading the Bible every morning and living it out the way it's telling me that I should. I'm not seeing that reconcile, and so this thought goes through my head, as a lot of people probably think when they hear me talk right now. They probably think, well, why don't you just sing country music but then talk about God on the stage?
Now, he explains this on his other video that I reviewed about 4 months ago, and he talks about how he can't reconcile the fact that people are praising him or throwing him flowers, if you will, or like, hey, Granger, whatever people do at concerts. And in the morning, right, he's reading the Bible, and the Bible is clearly saying that we are serving God. We're his servants, we're his slaves, right? We have given our lives to glorify him. And when he gets on the stage, he feels like people are glorifying him and not God, right? And he's like, I'm supposed to glorify God. People are glorifying me. The two don't fit together, right? And again, this is something that in his mind, like some people get saved and they're in music and they're able to stay in that world, right? Maybe start writing different lyrics and write, in some cases, worship albums. But he feels like this is not the environment that he wants to be in. He feels called to pursue ministry. He's going to explain a little bit more.
Or why don't you sing a couple hymns on the stage, and then that fixes everything. And so I wrestled with that for a couple years, just thinking, well, this is my ministry. And in fact, a lot of pastors and preachers told me that. They're like, country music is your ministry, brother. You're in a dark world, brother. You're bringing light to a dark world. You're going into bars and stages where people might not have heard the message of Christ, and you get to speak it. But that is your ministry. And I believed it, and part of me still does believe that. But here's the deal. It wasn't ever about that. It wasn't ever about finding the best platform to tell people about Christ. The first thing that needed to happen was I needed to make myself smaller, because I was exalting myself on the stage. I was glorifying myself. I was seeking praise from people. And by doing that, it doesn't matter if I was proclaiming Christ, because I was doing it in the wrong way. I was proclaiming Christ from a self-exalting platform.
Proclaiming Christ from a self-exalting platform. That's powerful statement. That's a powerful self-examination that he's seeing.
That was the contradiction that I finally had to come to terms with. Like, hey, I might have a stage down the road, but right now I need to completely surrender that and give it over to God and say, hey, I'm going to stop self-exalting. If you will be glorified, it will not be because I'm big. It'll be because I'm small.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Here we have a man who seemingly was on top of the world, Granger Smith, famous country artist, going through this tragic season in his life. turning to everything possible to try to take away the pain, to try to numb it, to try to make it go away, to forget all the images that are going through his mind. Maybe you've been there. And realizing at the end of the day that calling out to Jesus was the only thing that worked, taking it day by day, right, as he was saying, right, moment by moment, breath by breath, and at the end of the day saying, Jesus, I cannot do this without your help. And I've been there. I've been in dark seasons of my life, and that's why this was so powerful for me to make, because I've been through the divorce, I've been through the deaths, I've been through the betrayals, I've been through the lies, and it hurts, right? But we have to keep our perspective on Jesus. We have to keep our perspective on a purpose, and we have to remember we live in this broken world, right? Where people are broken, hurt people, and call on God to be there for us, right? And he will. He's faithful. And so if you're going through something, I hope Granger Smith's story helped you. I hope this was encouraging. I hope that you will turn to Jesus. He would be the first person and the first name you call out to the next time you go through something dark. See you on the next one.